and economic development. Welcome to Philadelphia. You know, as I look around this room, first of all, what a crowd. I see people with incredible energy, with incredible passion, and a real get stuff done attitude, which for those of you who aren't from Pennsylvania is a motto we like to use around here. It's what gets us out of bed in the morning, drives our desire to affect real change here in Pennsylvania, to make our main streets, which are the heart of our communities, the best they can be. And of course, everyone in this room knows that that can't happen without great people, without the work that each of you do every day as advocates for your communities. And at this conference, we're of course all here to network and learn, but it's also important to step back and celebrate each other, our main streets, the wins we've had, and the successes that we see in the future. And what better place to do that than Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? You know, here in Pennsylvania, with the help of our partners, like Julie Fitzpatrick and her team at the Pennsylvania Downtown Center, whoop, whoop. And like folks in our department, DCED, including Deputy Secretaries Mandy Book and Rick Filello and Christy Yerger, who runs our Main Street program, we're putting in the investments and the work to make sure our main streets thrive. The Shapiro administration is proud to support our main streets and Elm Streets. And I'm also proud that our Commonwealth is a real leader nationally in supporting Main Street organizations, and it's no accident. It takes coordination, it takes partnership, it takes dedication and strategy. After all, economic development and community development are team sports. But maybe most of all, it takes great leadership. And we are very fortunate here in Pennsylvania to have that leadership start at the top. Our governor is someone who has visited countless main streets all across Pennsylvania. Someone who is talking constantly to community leaders, to residents, to small business owners. Someone who understands the work of strengthening main streets is hard, but it's what makes it so important. Because after all, main streets are about people. And we have in our next speaker someone who always puts people first, front and center, in everything he does. So it's now my distinct honor to introduce a true champion for Pennsylvania's main streets, Pennsylvania's 48th governor, Josh Shapiro.
Man, you look good out there. You know, I was backstage when Siger mentioned my name. I heard one person go, woo, just like one. I'm like, I thought they said there were hundreds, thousands. Thank you very much. Yeah. This is a hell of a group. First off, let me just say thank you to Secretary Siger, the head of the Department of Community and Economic Development in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This dude does a hell of a job for Pennsylvania, and especially for Pennsylvania Main Street, so put your hands together for Siger. And I know you just got to hear from the mayor, but I'd like as governor to welcome you to the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, the home of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Anybody out there, you can raise your hands if you want, or you can leave from a main street in Kansas or Missouri. No? Anybody? No. All right. Well, that's okay. It's okay. We welcome you here. We welcome you here. If you're still feeling down, we got some great restaurants and bars and other places along our main streets you can go, but in addition, of course, to being the home of the Super Bowl champs, this, of course, is the birthplace of democracy right here in Philadelphia. Anybody from Boston here? Because, yeah. I heard your gov the other day, Maura Healy, who's a dear friend of mine, say that democracy was really born in Boston and we just filled out some paperwork here in Philadelphia. So you can go back and tell Maura I heard her shit talk in Philadelphia, and I didn't like it very much. But I hope while you're here, you check out the original Main Street down in Philly, because let me tell you something, now more than ever, we need to make sure we're holding firm on the values that those founders set forth in motion here in Philadelphia, that we don't live in a world here in the United States of America where we're governed by a king. We're governed by the people. And we're defending those values here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania every single day. So, we got some business to do while we're here, and I want to thank Aaron Barnes and the entire Main Street America team. Thank you for the work you do to support our main streets. I remember last year when I made a video for y'all, I think you were down in Mobile or somewhere down south. I was so excited. Birmingham, I'm sorry. Sorry. Holy cow. Shout out to those from Birmingham. Look at you guys you're like a convention out here with your signs. It's incredible. But I was excited when I was making that video, knowing you'd be here this year. But it's hard when you make a video, you don't get a sense of the audience. You guys have a great energy, an amazing energy, and it's no wonder, there you go. It is no wonder why our main streets have such amazing energy all across this country. And so I'm proud to host you now for the 2025 Main Street Now Conference. And given the energy you have, hell, I hope you come back in 26 and 27. I'd love to host you. One of the amazing privileges I get as governor is I get the chance to visit all 67 counties of Pennsylvania. And I'm a governor that doesn't like sitting behind a desk every day. I'm a governor that's a doer, a person of action. I like getting out in the community. And as you travel across this amazing Commonwealth, right? You see so much different terrain, so many different people, so many different, vibes you get, people doing different kinds of jobs wherever you go. And for those who kind of leave Philly for the first time and travel out in the western part of our state, or people who go from an urban setting to a rural setting, they'll often come to me and they'll say, how do you govern this state? It's so different, it's so diverse. People seem like they're just from kind of different planets wherever you go. And the truth is, actually, most people are kind of joined by the same core values, right? They want good schools for their kids and their grandkids. They want safe communities. They want economic opportunity in the communities that they live in. That's what most people want. You know what most communities are defined by? A main street. I have found that wherever I go. You go to a rural community, those main streets may be a little bit shorter, the buildings smaller, but nevertheless, that main street is vital to that community. You go walk around a main street here in Philly, those buildings are a lot taller, the main street is a lot longer, but it's still a place where folks come together, where they grab a cup of coffee, a beer, they have a meal. It really becomes the economic engine of that community. I think our main streets are the beating heart of a community, rural, urban, and suburban. And they are present everywhere around our Commonwealth. I think further, you can tell whether a community is vibrant or not based on the success of a main street. That main street is successful, chances are that broader community is going to be safer, chances are those schools are going to be stronger, and there's more economic opportunity in those communities. I want to thank Julie Fitzpatrick for the incredible work she and her team do here at Pennsylvania downtown, understanding the need to invest in main streets all across Pennsylvania. And I want you to know, as governor, I make it a priority no matter where I am to stop by that main street. I prefer to stop by when folks aren't expecting me. That's when you get, for real from them. They tell you what's really going on. And I must tell you, my experience visiting main streets has transformed the way I think about how we budget in this Commonwealth when it comes to economic development. Yep. Last February, I went to Mount Lebanon, just south of Pittsburgh, on the other side of our Commonwealth. We got some folks from Mount Lebo here, huh? All right. I don't know, you're probably from Birmingham, but you're clapping anyway. And Mount Lebanon is an example of just this amazing, bustling, walkable Main Street that drives the whole community. It's where everybody in the neighborhoods go to hang out, to eat, to be with their kids, to be with their friends. Just after that, I went to visit Bedford, this small town in rural community. A Bedford person here, there you go. In the middle of our state, about halfway between Philly and Pittsburgh. That sort of quaint Main Street vibe with incredible shops and friendly people who are proud of what they've built. Or Main Street's right here in Philly. While you're here, I want you to go check out the 52nd Street corridor, an amazing place in Philadelphia. Home to a bookstore called Hakim's, which is the East Coast's oldest black-owned bookstore. I think it's the oldest black-owned bookstore in America, they tell me, just on the East Coast. These are 3 different Main Streets. They look completely different, but as I said before, each represent the beating heart of their community, and each require investment from the Commonwealth. I'll share with you that Main Streets have always been critically important to me, and I'll give you a concrete example of that. In the 9th grade, I saw a girl across the classroom. I thought she was cute. I flirted with her. Story ends well, so just follow me on this. And we went on our first date, to the extent that you can go on a date when you're a 9th grader, back in, the 1980s. And we went to a place called Goodnoe Farms on a main street in historic Bucks County, Newtown, Pennsylvania. We shared, those of you who know historic Bucks County, we shared a milkshake, black and white milkshake, the best milkshakes around, and cheese fries, which, by the way, if you tried to have a milkshake and cheese fries now and you're 51 years old, it's not going to feel as good as when you're in the 9th grade. But I want you to know that girl and I have been married for 27 years. We're blessed with 4 kids. And she's the first lady of Pennsylvania, and our first date happened on a main street right here in Pennsylvania. So it's personal to me. I've seen it just in my own life, the importance of a main street, and I've seen it as governor, how we've got to invest in these places. Before I was governor, Pennsylvania did not have an economic development strategy. In fact, we hadn't had one for more than 2 decades. Under Secretary Seiger's leadership, we wrote our first economic development strategy. We focused on a few key areas, things like life sciences, energy, manufacturing, things like that. Only 5 areas like that. But throughout it all, we said we were going to drive our investments out to main streets across Pennsylvania to foster that type of growth in those areas, and also to make sure that we create an environment that's great for recreation, for tourists, and for neighbors. So for the first time in more than 20 years, Pennsylvania not only has an economic development strategy, we have an economic development strategy that runs right through our main streets all across Pennsylvania, rural, urban, and suburban. But it wasn't just a desire to invest in our main streets sort of born out of nostalgia, right? Or born out of this sort of feeling like, oh, that's quaint, that's interesting. We know that if you invest in your main streets, you get a hell of an ROI. For every $1 the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania invests in our main streets, we get back nearly $8 in return. I don't know of too many other ROIs in government that are that strong. So we've got this strategy. It's grounded in firm economics, and it's also grounded in the good vibes, the good feels that you get from being on a main street. And so for years, we did invest in main streets, although it wasn't a whole lot. In fact, we had something called the Keystone Communities Initiative, and just to give you some context, last year we drove out $7 million for main streets through that program for 49 different projects. I thought that was a nice start, but it was certainly not enough for our Commonwealth. We needed to invest more to create walkable streets, we needed to improve facades, and we needed to support more of Pennsylvania's small businesses, the lifeblood of our Commonwealth's economy. And so, about a year ago, I launched a new initiative called Main Streets Matters, building on the strengths of Keystone communities and incorporating more flexibility to be able to meet the unique needs of our communities. And it wasn't just talk, and it wasn't just something written on paper. We put our money where our mouth was. Remember before I said we supported our Main Streets with $7 million more than a year ago? My first budget for Main Street Matters called for an investment of $20 million exclusively for our main streets across Pennsylvania. We put out the applications, and lo and behold, we received 200 different applications. And today, I wanted to make this meeting, this gathering, the backdrop to announce that my administration, through the Department of Community and Economic Development, through the leadership of Secretary Siger, are now poised to invest in 81 different Main Street projects across Pennsylvania with that $20 million initial investment. 81 Main Streets across Pennsylvania benefiting from this investment. We are now driving out with this announcement here today more funding for Main Streets than ever before in the history of Pennsylvania. And these investments will support everything from small business microloan initiative in rural Mercer County on the western part of our state, got a Mercer County folks here, to accessible housing along main streets in historic Bucks County. They'll help dozens of communities improve lighting and sidewalks and building facades so our main streets are ready to welcome the shoppers and the diners and the tourists that make our main streets hum. And these dollars are going to be used to redevelop vacant storefronts and provide small businesses with the funding they need and the opportunities to expand into bigger digs. Because some main streets, of course, are operating really, really well, but some need a boost. Some need help building a walkable, affordable community. The Main Street Matters initiative is delivering for them, and I'm proud to announce those grants here today. We're going to continue to make Main Streets a major priority. In my budget that I just announced a couple months ago, we're doubling down on our investment in Main Streets, asking for another $20 million on top of the first 20 that has already been appropriated. So listen, we know how important our main streets are, and we know how important it is to have creative big brains like yourselves who love our communities, who care deeply about the people who live in it, who care deeply about our small businesses, who care deeply about attracting tourists to come visit. We need people like you to continue to do the amazing work you're doing. And I want you to know that here in Pennsylvania, you have a governor who cares about what you're doing, who gives a damn about what you're doing, and who's going to continue to invest in the important work that you are doing. And I'm going to keep shouting from the rooftops the importance of having vibrant main streets in rural, urban, and suburban communities. Continue to shout out loudly about the importance of using our main streets to knit the fabric of our communities together, to break down the walls and the silos that create so much difference in our society, and instead allow people to see one another in a different way that allows them to understand one another, allows them to come together a little bit closer, allows them to appreciate our shared history and plan for a shared future. I think maybe perhaps now more than ever, those gathering spaces are critically and sorely needed. And thanks to you and the incredible work you do in your communities, we're going to have more of that all across this great country and here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Just like we led this nation into forming this democracy, go tell Maura Healey I said that, we are going to continue to use Pennsylvania main streets as an example of how we can grow, how we can develop, and how we can open up a next shared chapter in this great American story together, walking down our main streets. Thank you all for what you do. We appreciate you. Enjoy your time here in the Commonwealth. Spend a whole lot of money while you're here, and come back next year. Thank you very, very much. Thanks, everybody.